And hello, everyone. Welcome to this masterclass, the Holistic Healing Masterclass. Look at the amazing people we have here. I love it, love it, love it, love it. We have the incredible Sierra Wilson joining us as our expert. Hello, Sierra. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yay, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. I'm super excited to learn from you, and I'll give you a full introduction in just a little bit. But shout out to Yasmin for hopping in, joining us. Yay, welcome Yasmin and Beverly. Good afternoon, Beverly. Beverly was just in our meditation that we had, and so we had a meditation. Logged off that, and hopped in here real quick. So it was perfect timing. Welcome, Beverly. And as
Thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. And if you are watching this on YouTube right now or on Facebook, awesome. Welcome. Feel free to comment in there and also join us. Join us live here on Zoom. It's more fun, at least in my opinion, to have you here so you can ask questions and get a front row seat for it all. But if you're watching there, cool. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching the replay. This is awesome. And feel free to ask questions in the Energy Hub group as well. So Sierra is one of our energizers. She is in the Energy Hub. So if something really resonates and you're, especially if you're watching this on replay and you don't get a chance to ask it live, a question you might have live, go message her, right? Or make a post up in the Energy Hub. And because probably more people have that question than just you. And you can post it there and Sierra can comment back and get back to you, or you can message her and all that good stuff. But without any further ado, let's launch in and let's Sierra take the wheel in just a moment because I just want to share something real quick. So I got to know Sierra. We've been friends, Facebook friends for about a year now. We met at an event at a conference in March. We met at a conference, which was really cool to finally meet you in person and hang out, get to know you and the amazing stuff that you do. And we've talked a number of times about what she does and the group that she's leading, right? She leads a nonprofit about holistic healing, which how cool is that? But I'll let her go into her story and how that all looks. And Katie and I are really excited to be hopping in and working with her for our health so we can even get some more fine tuning into our holistic healing. So even if you're new to this and you're like, I have no idea what this is for you. If you're an expert at this and you know so much, hop in and learn and you might pick up some new little nuggets or and something that can help you or help others. And maybe you can even collaborate with Sierra down the road. You never know. So in any case, thank you for being here, everyone watching, and please give it up for the amazing Sierra. Yay! Sierra.
Thank you so much, Spencer. I really appreciate the opportunity to pour into your people and talk about like my favorite subject ever. So it was a blessing to get to meet you and Katie in person. Like Spencer said, we've been following each other online for a while, and it's so fun when you get to actually meet people in person, in real life, do real life with people that you've been connecting with on the internet. And it's so I think the reason that Spencer and I connected is because our missions are not the same, but very so much geared toward helping people become better versions of themselves. Because you have it inside of you to do all the things, to have all the things. We're just kind of the guides to help pull it out of you to realize the greatness that exists inside of each and every one of you. And so I think it's so cool the way that we connected. So as Spencer said, I'm Sierra Wilson, and I do run a natural health nonprofit in Minot, North Dakota. And we're up here in the Great White North. So what we aim to do is make natural health products and services accessible and affordable for everyone. We do not believe that money should be a barrier to care. And so that is the driving force behind why we do what we do. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a little bit. But I'm going to start with a question right away for everyone. And it may be a little, I don't like to use the word triggering, but it may actually like just kind of get your ears to perk up. And you'll know really quickly if you're my people or not. So I kind of asked this right away so that we know that we're all on the same page here. So, do you believe that you are responsible for your health? That is my question to you. Do you believe that you are responsible for your own health? Yes, yes, we've got some yeses in the comments. Woo, love it. Okay. If you answered yes to that, or as some people said, yes, I love it, then you're in the right place. You'll be able to pick up what I'm putting down. And the reason that I asked that is because the me 7 years ago, who might be sitting on the other end of this Zoom call, would be like, heck no. Who is this chick to get up here and say you're responsible? Like, I'm responsible for my own health. She doesn't know what happened to me. She doesn't know some of the stuff I've been through. Like, who the heck is her? If only she knew, she would definitely never say that to me. That would have been me, 100%. And also me may have actually logged off this Zoom call. And if I'm not for you, I will not be offended if you log off this Zoom call. I would rather you spend your Saturday morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world, doing something that you actually love and you're going to get value from than sitting and listening to a speaker that might not resonate with you just because we're not on the same wavelength. And that's okay. I know I'm not for everyone, and I've come to that determination a while ago, and I'm totally not offended if someone gets up and walks out when I'm speaking because I'm just not for them, or if they log off the Zoom call. And so I just want to make sure that everyone who's here is here for the right reasons, that we're on the same page. Because if not, if we're not speaking the same language, so to speak, then no offense, but you're kind of wasting your time. If you're going to show up to something, we want you to get value from it. And that's why I love what Spencer does when he invites different speakers to speak into his people, is everyone brings value from what they've been through, from where they are, from what they're doing in the world. And not everyone's going to align with everyone else. And that's totally okay. That's totally okay. Everyone likes their eggs made a different way, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but we're just kind of getting things out of the way right from the get-go. And I see we still have 7 people on here, so I didn't lose anyone. So that is awesome. I'm glad that we are all jiving together. So when I say you are responsible for your own health, what does that even mean? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of context to how I came to that determination and what I've been through. In 2016, it was one of the best years of my life and one of the worst years in my life. I had just gotten married, and 10 days after our wedding, I got bit by a tick, a wood tick up here in North Dakota at my parents' farm. And I've been bitten by ticks several times in my life. I was a farm kid. You just pull them off, you flush them down the toilet. Like, that's just what you do. It's not a big deal. And so that's just what I did. Like, not a big deal, right? Until it was a really big deal. So in 2016, I got diagnosed with neuroinvasive West Nile virus, so swelling in my brain and my spine, and Lyme disease at the same time. And Mayo Clinic, one of the best hospitals in the country, said that that was thought to be clinically impossible. But someone has to go first, right? So I have found myself going to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, 25 in total in 6 months, 16 of which were at Mayo Clinic, which is a fantastic medical facility in the United States. And I got a lot of either we don't know what's wrong with you, or once they finally figured out what was wrong with me, or they thought what was wrong with me, then they were like, we don't have a care plan for that. We're so sorry. There's nothing we can do for you. And so I want you to picture this. And some of you I know are resonating with this because you have gone through your own health journey where you have gone to doctor after doctor after doctor, and you have heard similar things of either, we don't know what's wrong with you, or your blood work looks fine, so you're fine, even though you don't feel fine, or you wouldn't have been going to that appointment in the first place, or this is what we figured out, and there's no cure for this. There's maybe some pills you can take, maybe some, yoga, stretching, exercises you can do, physical therapy to help lessen the symptoms. But realistically, like, you're just going to have to live with this. I know there's some people here who have heard that. And so I know that you can feel what I am feeling inside of me right now when I take myself back to finally getting to Mayo Clinic. Because if you've ever tried to get into one of the bigger hospital systems in the country, you don't just get in. It takes a while to get in. So by the time I finally got in, it had been months. I'd been on a wait list for 3 months. I had gained 100 pounds in 6 months. I couldn't walk most days. Um, it's really weird. Some days I could walk, and other days I was like holding onto the wall to walk, and other days I was using a walker, and some days it was a full-blown wheelchair, and there was no consistency or rhyme or reason. And so that made it even more confusing and frustrating. Like, am I going to be able to walk today? That's like something that you like to know before you get up. And I just didn't know from day to day what kind of day it was going to be. I couldn't digest my food properly. So I became extremely malnourished, and then the little critters inside of me that I had been infected with were actually eating all the nutrition that I was getting from food. So then I really wasn't getting it. So then I just kept packing on weight after weight after weight. And I had started to lose my vision. I couldn't drive at night anymore at all. And I was having a really hard time being able to see during the day. And then my memory started to very, very quickly leave me. So I had sticky notes literally everywhere. Things that I had been doing, like brushing my teeth. Um, my whole life, I now had to have sticky notes to tell me what to do every second of my life. I had to keep my job because my husband owned his own business and he's type 1 diabetic. So we needed health insurance. Because if you've ever tried to pay for insulin out of pocket, you know that stuff's spendy. So I had to keep my job. I was like, I don't qualify for disability, because a short-term disability, because at that point no one knew what was wrong with me. So I don't have a choice but to work. We need the money because I'm just, all these medical bills are racking up. I need to be able to keep our insurance. So I found a way to keep my job. I had sticky notes. You should have seen my office, you guys. I had sticky notes all over the place to tell myself from the second I walked into my office what I needed to do every couple minutes of the day, every task that I normally do, because I would forget to send a report that I had been sending for, 3 years at that point that I had worked there every day. And I would just forget. I would get in the car and I'd have sticky notes on my steering wheel to remind myself, if you're getting in the car at 7 in the morning, it's because you're supposed to go to work. This is where work is. Like, this was some crazy, scary stuff. So when that started happening, my husband was like, we've got to figure something out. So we got to Mayo. They ran a ton of tests. I was there for 8 days. And then they looked at me and said, we are figuring out what's wrong here, but there's nothing we can do for you. So I'm sorry, we're sending you home without a care plan. And that was the longest 10-hour drive home, or ride, because I obviously wasn't driving, of my entire life, because people just told me, once you get here, these people will have answers for you. They will fix you. And I had put so much of my faith in people outside of me to fix what was going on inside of me, because that's how I was patterned. I was looking for people to give me answers and to give me, hopefully, a pill, a surgery, a something to fix what was going on inside of me. And I see some comments rolling in. Hopefully Spencer's fielding those, because I will not be able to as I'm talking. So cool. I hope we're good to go and you're getting your questions answered there. Um, Anyways, so at that point I went home. I kept getting, thank you, Spencer. I kept getting sicker and sicker to the point where I just caught a common cold. I went to three different doctors and they all said, this is just a common cold, but this is not a common response to a common cold. I ended up in bed for 5 days. I couldn't even lift my own head. I couldn't hardly move at all. My brand new husband, who just said, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, just earlier that year, was now having to spoon feed me and carry me to the bathroom. And him and my mom had a conversation, unbeknownst to me at that time. But they were just like, okay, if a common cold, like if she doesn't have a strong enough immune system to even fight a common cold, what's going to happen if she gets a flu or a pneumonia? Like, is she just going to be one of these people who dies? Because you hear about that, but you never think it's going to happen to you or someone you love until it's happening. And so I didn't believe in naturopathic medicine. I didn't believe in holistic healthcare. I didn't believe in anything but Western medicine at that point. That's how we were raised. That's all we knew. You get sick, you go to the doctor, they give you a pill, you get better. Or you have a surgery and they fix something for you and you get better. I had no concept of health building versus disease chasing models of healthcare. So we had heard enough, though, about this naturopathic doctor in Rapid City. So from where I live, that's a 7-hour drive one way. That I was like, we don't have any other choice. When you are dying, you will get desperate. And so I abandoned anything that I believed to be true because I'd already been to one of the best hospitals in the country and they couldn't help me. So clearly we had to get creative and figure out something else. So we went into this naturopathic doctor's office and he was really honest with me. He said, you are very sick. I don't get to be God and I don't get to know how this is going to go. But I can make you a couple promises. And the first one is, I am not going to give up on you. And I'm going to do everything that I can think of to help you build your health. And the second thing he said was, if there is someone who I think can help you outside of my scope, I will send them to you and make sure that you get the best quality care that you need for this time. But you need to know that this might not end well for you, and you need to fight life like your life depends on it, because it does. Because if we don't get this disease process to course correct very quickly, you will die. Some part of your body will give out, most likely your heart. It will not be able to take it anymore. And you will be one of those obituaries that we read that says, 30-year-old had a massive heart attack and didn't make it. You guys, that was really scary to hear. I knew all along, like I knew I could feel it in my body that I was dying. Every day I felt like I was closer and closer to dying. So I, Spencer, I don't know any other way to be but blunt. I usually tell people that when I start working with them is the only way I know how to be is blunt. So hopefully that's cool with you. But anyways, I had to make a choice. That was my choice point, is I can either roll over and die, or I can get up and figure out how to live. I can figure out how to beat this thing. I can figure out how to rebuild health in my body. And I just had somebody promise me that he was going to do it with me. And I'm here. 8 years later, I'm here. So clearly something worked, right? So that was my choice point. I was introduced to a totally new way of testing, of supplementing, of lifestyle that I had never been exposed to before. And I used to tell people that naturopathic doctor saved my life, but I have since changed how I talk about that. He did not save my life. I saved my life. He could be a guide sitting in the passenger seat, holding a map, telling me the best turns to make, the best route to take to get where I wanted to go, which was health, faster. But he couldn't drive for me. I was the only one responsible for that vehicle. I still was the one who had to make the turns, who had to choose to listen to him. And there were times that I didn't. There were times where I was like, this is just too hard. And I veered off course. And of course, as a nice GPS, he put me back on track. Sometimes they were very big detours to get back on track, but he stayed with me. And so after I started to get better, I was like, there's something to this. Most people don't know this about me, but I actually was going to be a veteran. I was going to go into veterinary medicine. That's what I wanted to do as a kid. I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to help animals. And I ended up totally changing my career path when I realized a big part of being a vet is being able to euthanize animals. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And so I was like, okay, well, clearly I can't do that. So I'm going to totally course correct and do something else. But that part of my brain that loves math, that loves science, like that all started to come back as I'm watching the pieces of how this doctor helped me build my health. Like, yes, there's a disease process, but he wasn't focused on the disease process. He's focused on health building. We're going a different direction. We're not going towards chasing disease. We're just building health, and disease doesn't exist in healthy bodies. And so I followed what he said. Like I said, I'm a little stubborn. I'm a German. I tell people it's the stubborn German in me that I definitely didn't always do what I should have done to get me farther faster. And so if I would have completely followed his protocol, his methods, I probably could have nixed my Lyme disease in half the time, but I chose to go the long, hard way. And it took 6 years to get into remission and stay there. The biggest thing for me, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, is diet. I did not want to give up my food because honestly, at that point, everything was falling apart in life. Food was the only thing I had. And I will admit it now. I wouldn't admit it then. I was using food as my coping mechanism, as a drug, almost to like numb the pain of everything that was happening in life. But it was actually contributing to disease more so in my body because of the foods I was choosing. I wasn't choosing to fight disease with my food choices. I was choosing to feed disease. And then I just wanted the pills, the supplements to try to help fight the disease. So I was not operating on a consistent manner. So all of that to say, after I started to get better, I told this gentleman, I'm like, you need to teach me everything that you're willing to teach me because more people need to know this is an option. Because if someone like me, who's the biggest skeptic in the world, who didn't even believe in this can help save my life, then this can help save someone else's life too. And so many people, they only know one way of medicine, and that's Western medicine, which we're grateful for. We live in like the #1 country in the world, if you're in the US, for trauma care. If you get in a car accident, you want to be in the US. You want to be in this country. So there's definitely a need and a place for modern medicine. We're so grateful to have it, but there's a whole other side of healthcare that a lot of people just aren't exposed to. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Is everyone tracking with me? We good to go? Would you like me to give you some things you can do at home to build your health? All right. So some of the simple, basic things that we can start to do to build our health. Like I said, we're not chasing disease. We are building health. Ended up studying with this naturopathic doctor for 5 years, and man, did it change my whole lens that I view life through, of like how many things we can be doing on our own at home every single day to build our health. 80% of health building happens at home. It doesn't happen in a doctor's office or even a naturopath's office or in a holistic healthcare center. It happens in your home with the things that you're doing every single day. I'm so glad this is resonating, Beverly. So the first thing when it comes to health building is you need to sleep. I know some people just like tensed up a little bit like, oh, she's calling me out. Honestly, I'm preaching to the choir here, because what's the first thing that a lot of times we compromise when life gets busy, the kids have all these things going on, we have deadlines at work. What do? We cut into our sleep time to do all the other things. But if you take nothing else away from what I am talking about today, please take this. Your sleep will have more impact on your life than your diet, than your exercise, than any supplements that you take. Your sleep trumps all of it. Because if you are not sleeping so that your body can regenerate itself overnight while you're sleeping, then you can do all the things in the world. And yes, they might help, but they're not going to help nearly as much as if you give your body the time it needs to replenish and regenerate itself overnight, to refuel itself, to recharge itself. So number one, make sure you're getting enough sleep. What's enough sleep? It's different for everyone. For some people, their optimal time is 7 hours. For other people, their optimal time is 10 hours. To be a kind of a gauge is if you have any health conditions, especially if you've been experiencing them for a while, so we would consider them a chronic condition, you're going to need more sleep than someone who does not, than someone who is in pristine health, because your body's having to work harder to regenerate itself because there's other things that are slowing it up a little bit. So if you've been diagnosed with a chronic issue or you've dealt with certain symptoms for a long period of time, you're probably going to be closer to like the 9 hour sleep window. When I was really sick, I was sleeping every single second that I could sleep. I was so exhausted. I would go to work. Every 15-minute break I had, I would close my office door and sleep at my desk. At lunchtime, I would go sleep in my car and just set an alarm to wake me up to make sure I was back at my desk on time. But like, and then I would go home, I would eat some food quick, and I would crash for like 12 hours because my body was so exhausted that that's what it needed more than anything else was sleep. And I had been depriving it of sleep for a lot of my life up to that point, if I'm being super honest. So, sleep. Please evaluate your sleep schedule and make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to actually rest, to wind down, to fall asleep so that you are getting a minimum of 7 hours a night. And some people are like, I can't sleep more than 4. Like, well, that is an indicator of a lot of health stuff going on. I have like 37 more questions for you to be able to guide you in the right direction. But like that is an indicator that you're been so sleep deprived that now your body actually has probably just started picking and choosing what it's going to regenerate, because they're like, hey, we know she's only going to give us 4 hours, so we got to do what the organs that need the most attention, we've got to do that in those 4 hours, and stuff like digestion and immune system, all that's just going to have to take a back burner, because like we got to make sure that liver's regenerated, we got to make sure that heart's regenerated, we got to make sure that brain's regenerated, everything else goes to the wayside. And you're usually going to find that the less sleep that you're giving yourself, the more health concerns that pop up down the road, because your body's having to choose, and it's not regenerating your immune system or your digestive system, because although you need those things to live, you need your heart, your brain, your liver more. Does that make sense to everyone? Next thing we're going to talk about. Yes. Thank you, Nick, for letting me know it makes sense. Next thing we're going to talk about is food. Everyone's favorite topic, right? So, food. A lot of people say, just eat real food, just eat clean food. And people are like, well, what the heck does that mean? And depending on what country you live in, that can be even more confusing. So, fun fact, I worked in the food processing industry for 10 years before I transitioned to studying with the doctor who contributed to saving my life and do what I do now, which is run a natural health nonprofit as a natural health practitioner. So I tell people I could ruin a lot of your favorite foods for you if I told you how they made them. And to be really, really blunt, because as we already established, I don't know any other way to be. Food in America that comes out of food processing facilities that's processed or ultra processed should not even be called food anymore. It should be called a chemical cocktail, because that is what it is. Even some of your healthier foods, if they are still highly processed, like say certain gluten-free breads, dairy-free cheeses, like if they are still heavily processed and there's a ton of chemicals in them, that Yes, they might be less inflammatory for your body. So maybe it's a step in the right direction if you're trying to eat less gluten or eat less dairy, but it is not health food. It is still highly processed food. Does that make sense to everyone? We should be eating as closely as we can to the way that our ancestors ate. So I'm talking fruits, veggies, meats. People are like, oh, that sounds really bland. There are very cool ways to make those foods taste good without adding a bunch of chemicals to them. And there is a lot of stuff on the internet. I'm not a proponent of any one diet because I don't believe any one diet is right for everyone. But I am a big proponent of like research, working with a natural health practitioner, trying to figure out what actually would work best for you. But when you look up like Mediterranean diet type of websites, they have a lot of cool ways to make your food taste good, but still be very whole and real and nutritious. So I'm not saying Mediterranean diet is right for everyone in all situations by any means, but I'm just saying if you needed a step one, that's your step one. If you go research Mediterranean diets and like the way that they season the food, some of the sauces and stuff like that, is going to be a very good step one because we're all coming into this at different stages, and that's totally okay. For the person who's never looked at a food label before, your step one when it comes to being very intentional about what you're putting in your body as your fuel source, which is your food, start reading labels. Just being aware of what's in your food, chemicals, how much sugar, how much fat. Not, and fat's not a bad thing. This is not me saying do a low fat diet. This is just like being aware. Saturated fat versus not saturated fat. Sodium when it comes to real salt, like Celtic salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt versus highly processed refined salt. Being aware what we're putting in our body is step one because it's your fuel source. It's if you put sugar in your gas tank, that's not going to end well for you. Your car is not going to be happy. Your body is the same way. Okay. So let's step one, be intentional, but start reading the food labels. Just awareness is a great step one. Let's give ourselves credit for even being willing to be aware. Maybe you've already done that. You've been reading food labels for a long time. What's a good step two? Well, if you're in the United States, and this is different for people, especially in Europe or Australia, even Canada, if you're in the United States, dairy, the way that we make it in this country is highly inflammatory. If you can find a raw source from a trusted rancher or farmer that you know, um, again, it's not one size fits all. This is just me saying if you were to eat dairy, I personally would rather eat raw if it comes from a clean facility with good business practices and cleanliness practices than eat a highly inflammatory dead food that I'm getting from the grocery store. Because when they pasteurize, that's a fancy way for saying heat up. And now we have ultra pasteurized dairy products. So it's been heated up multiple times. So it kills all the bad bacteria, but also kills all the good bacteria. So, and it locks up the molecules of the minerals. So, like the calcium molecules that it can't penetrate the cell anymore because now they've been pasteurized, they're locked up, they're just going to bounce off the cells. So you're not actually absorbing anything that you get from most processed dairy products. And so you're essentially putting in your body a very highly inflammatory, not nutritious at all food. It's dead food essentially is what we call it in the food processing industry because all of the nutrients that were in it are no longer viable for the body. And yes, they can say infused with vitamins and minerals, but that infused means fake. It means this is a synthetic version, a chemical version of these vitamins and minerals, mostly not bioidentical to your body, so you're not really going to absorb them. They can sell that product for more if they say it's an infused or if it's enriched or if it's fortified. Those are three big buzzwords: enriched, infused, fortified. Start seeing how many of those words are on your food labels because it makes it sound good like, oh, they're putting all these vitamins and minerals in, but they don't tell you they're synthetic, they're fake. you're not really going to absorb the majority of them. Okay, that's a really good step too. Is there anyone who's kind of already past this who we need to go one step further for, or would you like us to move to our next part of the presentation? Because I don't want to leave, I want to let everyone leave with at least something. So if I haven't gone far enough, let me know and I'll go one step further.
Why not go
Go one
one
step
step
further.
further? Why not just one more step and then we'll keep going?
Okay. All right. So when it comes to our clean eating, so we are going to try to eat as few things as possible that come from a box, a can, a carton. Not all of those things are highly processed, but the majority of them are. For a lot of people, we want to be staying on the parameters, the outside parameters of the grocery store. And that doesn't mean the ice cream section, because I know that's on the outside wall now, but that's where most of your real foods are going to be, your fruits, your vegetables, your meats. Um, Again, I am not a proponent of any certain diet. Some people swear by carnivore diet, some people don't. But one thing, if we're going to talk about, looking at maybe eliminating dairy, maybe looking at cutting down on gluten, because gluten is just a fancy word for glue that holds pastas and breads together. And it's in a lot of our other foods now. They use it as a glue to hold a lot of things together. It's very highly inflammatory. So a lot of people will go gluten and dairy free and they'll feel so much better. And it's all because of inflammation. But what some people don't realize is sometimes different types of meat can be more inflammatory for some people based on your heritage, your genetics, etc. So this is not me saying don't eat meat. I believe we should be eating meat. I believe in the US we eat more meat than we probably should to be healthy. I don't believe we should be eating it 3 times a day, every day, which a lot of people do, especially in the Midwest where I'm from. It's a staple at every meal. But this is me saying start actually maybe keeping a food log of like, this is what I ate and this is what I noticed the next few days with how I felt. And you'll start to notice patterns like, for some people, especially after you've had certain viruses or disease processes, eating red meat can be more inflammatory to your body. So I'm not saying you can't eat it, but I'm saying maybe your body likes a white meat a little better. Maybe a chicken or a turkey is more suitable for your body for a specific reason. But if we're not keeping track of anything, if we don't have any data, then it's really hard to pinpoint like, I feel pretty good, but I sometimes feel this weird inflammation. Like my neck feels sore, my back feels sore, my lower back, like it kind of comes out of nowhere. If we're keeping like a food log, we'll start to notice patterns of, oh, every time I eat that certain food, and it doesn't just have to be meat. That's the example I'm using. I don't feel good for the next couple days. I have pain. I have a headache. It could be a chemical in your food. It could just be that at this point in your health journey, that food is not the best source of fuel for you, and that's okay. But that's why I'm not a big proponent of one size fits all, because for some people, the keto diet, they love it. They feel great. For other people, they feel miserably sick and like they have the flu all the time because that's not the best diet for them, for whether it be genetics, health conditions that they have, medications that they're taking. There's so many factors at play here. That's why I'm such a big proponent of focusing on the person, the individual that you're working with. I hate cookie cutter processes. I don't really believe in them. I get sometimes we have to use them when we're trying to help large groups of people just to try to streamline and get them heading in what we think is the right direction. But I really like having one-to-one conversations with people to actually like see you. Like I'm not looking, say if I'm talking to Spencer, I'm not looking at a lot of guys who are, from his area of the country with his background at around his age. I'm not looking at what's the best diet for them. I'm looking at what's the best diet for Spencer because he's the individual in front of me. He is an individual. Every body is different. And so actually tapping into what works for you, what doesn't work for you is so important instead of just blindly following all the information on the internet because it is overwhelming. There is a lot of it there. How's everyone doing? So for this next part, I'm going to turn off my camera for one quick second so that I can rearrange it, and I'm going to show you some things to do with your lymphatic system, all right? I will be right back.
As she's doing this, real quick, turning around, hop in the comments, let me know one of your takeaways and share it with us in the comments so far from the first part as she turns around the camera and gets ready. So it looks like she's back. Here we go.
I am back. All right. Hopefully everyone can see me. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay, so your lymphatic system is your body's garbage disposal. It is your toxin eliminator. So, and it's kind of funny, I just happen to have a lymphatic poster behind me. um, so it is your second fluid management system in your body. Everyone's familiar with your circulatory system. That's how we move blood. And then we've got our lymphatic system. And so the lymphatic fluid should actually look like the consistency of breast milk and actually be the same color. So a light white color, very watery texture. A lot of people's lymphatic systems are starting to look more like cottage cheese, and it's because we're just not moving as much. We're putting more toxins in our body. We've been exposed to more chemicals in this day and age than ever before. And as far as exposure, I'm talking about on a consistent basis. It's like micro dosing chemicals all the time versus like a significant Agent Orange exposure, at war several generations ago. So we're getting microdosed with chemicals all the time. So as much as we can be helping our lymphatic system, which is our body's garbage disposal, the healthier we're going to be. So the difference between your circulatory system and your lymphatic system is your circulatory system, although the heart isn't technically a pump, because of the way the blood moves through the heart, forcing it to pump, we can still kind of call it a pump. So your circulatory system has this internal pump we call our heart. Awesome. We don't have to do anything. It just does the job for us. Your lymphatic system doesn't have an internal pump. It only moves when you move. So I'm going to encourage you to move. This is not me saying you need to go be a marathon runner. This is me saying you need to move your body several times a day. And we're not talking about harsh cardio, aggressive movements. We're talking, let's start small. So maybe it's something as simple as this. Just if everyone wants to stand up with me, we've been sitting a while. Let's go ahead and get some interaction here. So stand up and bounce up and down on your tiptoes. All we're doing is a slight bouncing up and down on our tiptoes. 30 seconds to a minute several times a day can be so helpful. It gets your blood moving, it gets your lymph moving, it gives you some dopamine, some serotonin, which are your happy hormones. It clears your mind. Some people will pray when they do this, or meditate when they do this, or say positive affirmations when they do this. And this is just their little ritual 3, 4, or 5 times a day. They stop every couple hours and bounce on their toes. If you need to hold on to something to steady yourself, feel free to do that. But even that alone, that's step 1. That's moving our bodies intentionally several times a day. The next thing is I'm going to actually show you. This is your cisterna chyli. This is your biggest lymph node. If you find where your rib cage meets, it's right under there. So you're going to find that right where your rib cage meets. Right under there is your cisterna chyli, your biggest lymph node. If you go in the shower in the morning or whenever you take a shower, I suggest the shower because you're slippery. It works a little bit better. Gravity's working in your favor. So we'll do that in the shower. Just kind of finding where your rib cage meets, right underneath, that's your cisterna chyli. Following to the left, it might look like the right because these cameras sometimes reverse, but I am going to the left, right under my rib cage on the left side, pulling across that transverse colon and then down the descending colon. And like I said, when you're in the shower and you're a little slippery already, it works a little better. So you're just literally following to the left. Feel like the Cupid shuffle, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. And then if you find your hip, just giving yourself a little hip hug here. Even if you want to go right back here, right above where your hip bone is, and just kind of use your fist. We're going to kind of really get that descending colon from both sides, from the front and the back. Just really kind of working that because we're going to move our lymph over that way. And the body will naturally pull it into the colon if we can get it to accumulate right about here. We'll naturally pull it through the colon wall. And some people even excrete it out when they go to the bathroom. Sometimes you do need lymphatic therapy from a technician to achieve that, but at least we're getting it where it needs to go. And if your body is working the way it's supposed to, it will start to automatically eliminate that lymph. All right, I'm going to turn myself around again, and I'm going to show you a really quick demo of our testing. Okay. I know I only have a couple minutes left, but I did tell Spencer I would show everyone a demo of how bioenergetic health assessments work. It's so cool to be doing things at home. I highly encourage everyone be doing things at home, but sometimes we need a little extra help to know what's going on in the body. And that's where bioenergetics can come in. This is not considered an FDA-approved diagnostic piece of equipment in America, but it is considered a training tool. So I'm going to train you how to read the test so that you can follow along and see how this works, see what's going on in, well, my body will be the example. And then I'll explain a little bit about how this could be used to help you. So bioenergetics, we use acupuncture points on the hands and the feet if you come in person. If you send us a sample of your hair, we will actually just put your hair on the test plate and run it through a series of screenings. So I'm just going to show you what it would look like in person because it's easier to demonstrate. So we want things to be in the green. Green means balance. Green means when we are looking at the nervous system, when we are pulling the bioenergetic resonance from the nervous system to see what's going on in the body, green means that that is a balanced area. Red means we've got some acute inflammation. Inflammation itself is not a bad thing if it's there for a short amount of time. It's actually the body's natural response to things. But that is what's going to look like the red readings. Anything in the yellow means that has been an issue for a while. That is showing a chronic issue. And so that can be really helpful so we know where the body is, what's in balance, what's acute inflammation, what the body might remedy all on its own if we give it a little help, and what's chronic. What do we actually really need to throw support at so the body can get headed in the right direction quickly? So I'm going to run a couple readings and you're going to watch these acupuncture points on my hand. You're going to see this little green dot move. And this acupuncture point is directly correlated to the palatine tonsils and the deep cervical lymph nodes. So I'm going to just demonstrate this. I want to make sure I honor everyone's time and get us out of here on time. So let's just run through a couple. So there we go. My palatine tonsils and deep cervical lymph nodes were a 51. 50 is the best you can get, so we're in good shape. Now we see that dot moved. We're going to look at the lymph in my neck. That's also looking good. We hit a 51, which is wonderful. That's where we want to see. You're going to see that dot move again. We're going to look at teeth and lymph drainage in the mouth. Oh, I'm really consistent today. I am a 51 again. Wonderful. Let's do one more here. We're going to look at nose and paranasal sinuses. This will be interesting because the weather's been changing a lot lately and we're in the middle of harvest. See how mine are doing. Ooh, there we go. We hit a 62. I was hoping, not that I want to be out of balance, but I wanted to at least have something go out of balance to be able to show you. I hit a 62 there, which is right on the border of inflammation. Like I said, I live in farm country. We're in the middle of harvest, so there's a lot of dust in the air. And so Yeah, it's the weather's changing, not uncommon for some things to be out of balance, but it is acute, it's temporary, it's just barely in the inflammatory state, so probably not enough to even give myself something for it. But if I wanted to, I can show you how we would do the next part of the testing. So with the next part of the testing, we are actually, I have to make it very clear, this is not a diagnostic piece of equipment in America, but everything resonates at a certain frequency or bioenergetic signature. We just saw what some of my body parts were doing. Some were in the green, one was in the red. So now we can actually do that with different disease processes when we look at yeast, mold, fungus, parasite, bacteria, viruses, etc. So I'm just going to show one or two. Some of these things you will like recognize, like Lyme special kit. Gee, I wonder what she's looking for, something related to Lyme disease. You'd be right. But if I selected Burley Burgdorferi, you're going to be like, I don't know what that is. Well, it's actually a bacteria that can make up Lyme disease. It's just the scientific name. So let's go ahead and see if any of the bacteria that make up Lyme disease are in my body. So we hit a 47, very close to our optimal range of 50. So that's not an issue for me. Good, because I never want to go back to that again in my life. Let's go look. Whooping cough is actually going through North Dakota and Minnesota right now. So let's just see. Maybe there's a little pertussis. Maybe I've been exposed. Let's just check it out. I hit a 59, still in the green, headed more towards inflammation we would like. There's a chance that I could have been exposed. Thankfully, I take immune boosters, so it's not something that I'm worried about. But we're going to move you over here just a little bit so you can see my test plate. Let me see if I can rearrange this. So what we would do is go through a full scan and see what's going on in the body, what's in balance, what's out of balance. Is there a pathogen in the body that doesn't belong there? And then we use all that information. I would pull a bunch of supplements, which can include uh, supplements as in nutritional supplements, whole food supplements, herbal remedies, or homeopathic remedies. And I'm going to pull them, and then I'm going to put them on the test plate in balance with either you if you were here in person or your hair sample. We'd put your hair sample on this test plate and run it through the scan to see what your body is actually needing to balance itself perfectly. So let's just do a couple of these for the sake of time. So let's see if maybe I need a toxin eliminator. I'm going to put it on the test plate, insert it with me. I guess I never did show you how I'm holding this bar. I'm creating a circuit here, and that's how I'm pulling readings off of myself. So this product actually put me into a state of inflammation. I know it's hard to see the smaller screen, but it did touch the red. So that means my body actually doesn't want this product. It doesn't have a toxin that it needs help eliminating. So I wouldn't take that. Let's find something else. Maybe a liver drainage remedy. Liver is a very important organ. My body is not wanting that either. So we pull it off. Let's look at a lymphatic supplement. And my body says no to that. We're good on our lymph. Let's look at a gut remedy. And my body's saying no to that. Let's see here. Hopefully we can get one that tests just for the sake of demonstration. Oh, there we go. We got a nice green reading on this gastrotrax, which is very good for helping to support the stomach while it is digesting food. So now we saw what my body was doing with it, which was a nice green reading, nice and balanced. Now we take it off the test plate and let's see what my body says. Okay, my body actually jumped to the red, to the inflammation without that product. So that means I want that. We just tested and saw that my body really wants that product. So we're going to keep that on there. Let's look at a joint remedy. Nope, my body doesn't want that. Let's look at an immune booster. And my body doesn't particularly care for that. Let's look at a hormone balancer. This will be interesting. Ooh, my body really likes that. Let's take that off the test plate and see if it screams when I take it away. It does scream when I take it away. So let's put it back. So that is how we would build a protocol for people is we would figure out what the body needs based on either their personal test when they're sitting here in my office or what their hair sample tells me because I can put it on this test plate and still run it through the screens.
So, Sierra, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So, okay, I get that everything's a vibration. Absolutely everything is. But how the
Yes.
hell does that magic stuff work? Like, okay, I get that it's sensing your body, and then you just put the bottle of it on it, right? Like I get like if it was in the computer system you selected, it was this supplement regime, right? Then it would know the vibration numbers. But just by putting not even the supplement on it, but the bottle of the supplement on it, it did that. Like that, I'm baffled and confused, and I'm sure there's so much science that goes into it, but can you put it in layman's terms so that we can understand it? Because I really don't
Absolutely.
know. Like I'm so confused.
So actually there we do have a lot of stuff built into the computer, so we don't actually always have to pull the bottle on and off, but I find it's easier for people if they can see it. If they can actually see a physical product being pulled on and off, but we do have all of the bioenergetic signatures in our computer as well, or most of them. They're changing all the time because we're adding more. We're getting contributions from all over the world, different doctors and scientists. So that list keeps growing. So we can actually put like the bioenergetic signature gastro tracks of that herbal combination up on the computer and we would get the same result. This is just easier to demonstrate. But how this works is the computer, we used to have to take everything out of the bottle and put it on a glass dish with one pill at a time. But some very, very smart scientists figured out how to actually put the bioenergetic signature of plastic, cardboard, and glass into the computer. So now we don't even have to take them out of the bottle because the computer, if it picks up the bioenergetic signature of plastic, cardboard, or glass that the supplements come in, it'll automatically negate that signature because it knows we're just putting a bottle on the test plate. So that way it's only reading what's inside, not the container it comes in.
That's freaking amazing and awesome. And yeah, right. Like Beverly's like, oh my gosh, I like in shock and same here. All I can say is I know we've talked about it and we haven't done it yet just because life's been crazy. But yeah, Katie and I will be doing that because that's incredible.
I agree. I mean, I'm a little biased at this point in my health journey, but when I first saw this test being run, like I said, I wanted to go to vet school. Like I'm a very analytical scientific person. And when he was doing this, I was like, this is weird. This is nothing I've ever seen before. This is not like what you would see in a typical doctor's office. But whatever, I'm dying. And if this man is willing to help me, I am going to trust him. And when I started to get better and I actually could think a little more clearly, and then I watched him do the test, I was like, oh my gosh, this actually makes a ton of sense. This technology comes from lie detector technology. So if anyone has ever seen a lie detector test be performed or been in any sort of law enforcement, I actually just had a military colonel in here yesterday and she was like, "Oh yeah, I used to run lie detectors all the time." And so she totally understood the technology. I barely had to explain it to her. So a lie detector test is a skin bioresonance test because you are resonating at a certain frequency when you're telling the truth, when you're telling a white lie, when you're telling a half truth, or when you're just blatantly lying and there's no other way around it. So you're resonate at a different frequency or bioenergetic signature in all of those different states. So they have figured out a way to harness that technology to see how the body is resonating at certain frequencies. So if this is a really, I guess, a very layman's way to put it. It doesn't really do it scientific justice, but maybe it'll make sense. So, what they figured out is if your body, like, say, your liver, the left side of your liver, if we're looking at the left side of your liver, if that's nice and in balance, that's going to show the same as a truth. That everything is exactly the way it's supposed to. It's a truth. There's nothing, an issue here. There's not a lie. There's not an issue. There's nothing out of balance here. And so then they figured out if something's extremely out of balance, that would register at the same frequency as a lie. And so if something was in a chronic state of degeneration, it would show the same as a lie on a lie detector test. And if something was like a half truth, it would show as acute inflammation. it's a temporary issue, but it didn't show the same as chronic. So that's how they started to figure out like, maybe we can do something with this. So they actually used that premise to get to where we are today. A lot of this technology comes out of Germany in World War II. Same with a lot of our modern medicine. A lot of it started there. So it's, yeah, they found ways to take one scientific way to get certain readings, and through a lot of people who are very, very intelligent and, a lot smarter than I am, figure out how to manipulate the technology so we can actually see what's going on in the organ systems of the body. And then we can figure out the bioresonance of certain viruses, bacteria, parasites, fungus, etc. And we can actually program those frequencies into the computer to see if those pop up in anybody's scans. And if they do, we're like, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. In the US, I can't diagnose you with a duck because I'm not allowed to do that with my credentials in this country. But in other countries, like especially in Germany, they use this a lot of times in combination with medical doctors in medical hospital systems. So they'll run blood work, they'll run bioenergetics, and then they'll use both sets of information to help a person, which I hope for in the US. Hopefully we'll get there, but we're on the right track. Spreading awareness is the first step.
Oh my gosh, this has been absolutely, absolutely amazing. Thank you for spreading the awareness here with us. And I mean, a lot of us know about holistic health already to a degree, and I love the beginning of like, all right, let's get into it. Help you out wherever level you're at. To here's some things you can do right for your lymphatic system, different things that we could do actively. So thank you so much. That felt really good. I mean, and it also explains why I also feel really good moving throughout the day. And then this whole part, like mind blowing, like this is so cool. And I get everything's vibration, and I'm continuing learning more and more, and it's just so cool what science can do when you tap into that and make it all work cohesively. So thank you so much for sharing this, your time, expertise, all of it. Right, there's people commenting like, I need to come see you. Beverly mentioned it, and she's in the UK. Or what, Nick, you're in Wisconsin here, so it'd be easier for you to head over to North Dakota. But for those of us who can't necessarily travel there right away to see you, you said we can send hair samples. Like, how does this work? And I know you and I've talked, like you said, you have something special for our energizers.
Yes. So, um, what we'll do, just so we don't have to get to the ins and outs of certain packages, because I know I want to honor everyone's time and we're already at our time. What I'll do for everyone in the Energizer community, if you would like to explore working together further, I will give you a free complimentary 15-minute phone consultation so that we can actually hop on the phone. We can get to know each other a little bit. We can see what way would be the best way for you to get started. Maybe it's going to be a full hair analysis. Maybe it's going to be just completing a symptom survey and getting you headed in the right direction. A big part of what we do as a nonprofit is we evaluate where people are at in their finances and realistically what they can afford to do on a regular basis, because I'm not going to suggest something to you that I know that is going to put a financial burden on you, because then I'm helping you in one area but creating an issue in another area, and I don't believe that that is helpful. So what we'll do is we'll hop on the phone if you would like. I can, how would you like me to get information? Just, you want me to give a phone number that we can drop in the comments and they can text that number to connect with me?
Yeah, if that works best for you, let's do that.
Okay. So our office phone number is 701 969 0079.
Set one more time.
701 969 0079.
Perfect.
So if you text that number, if it's a Google Voice number, so I think that works across the world without any extra charges. But if not, if you have somebody overseas that doesn't work for, let me know and we'll connect on Facebook. Text that number and just text Energizer, and I will know that that means that you would like to fill out an intake form and then hop on a 15-minute call so we can decide what's best for you. Okay, you personally, what package might be best for you. If you want to come in person, great. If we have a couple different remote options, great. We have the hair testing option, great. Let's see what works best for you instead of me just throwing a generalized package out there. And for anybody who does end up working with us as a result of this time spent together today, we're going to take $50 off your initial consultation testing costs with us, because we want to help get you moving in the right direction. And we really appreciate Spencer and Katie allowing us to speak to you and to pour into you. And we love this collaboration effort of let's just help people in all of our different ways and all of our different areas of expertise. And yeah, just work together and help each other and pour into each other. And so we want to give a big thank you to you, but also extend that to your people in giving a discount for whatever package tends to work best for your particular situation.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This is absolutely amazing. And I love the structure of like, hey, we're not just out to take your money on this, right? And work with it. Let's set up a call to see where you're at, to get to know you and see what you're at and see what's best for you, because everyone's in different financial, circumstances, and maybe they could do the all-in thing or maybe they can't, but you're still there to help support them. So thank you so much. I think we have a couple minutes. Hopefully, Sierra can stay here for like 3 or so more minutes. If people have questions or thoughts they'd like to share before we head out. I see Yasmin, hand up, ready to go right away.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. I kind of had a similar story early with my liver. It was an autoimmune disease where the doctors couldn't help me. So I kind of had to find my own way to back to health with that. And I want to commend you. First of all, I'm big into like the energy medicine and frequencies and all that. I've used Rife machines to help myself. And I just love that you've paired that with your naturopath practice, because I've gone to naturopaths in the past and, they were very helpful in one respect, but after a while, they're just kind of shooting at the dark, throwing supplements at you. And I mean, because none of that's covered by insurance, right? So it's easy to go broke. So I love that you've been able to pinpoint it using the frequency tool. So thank you.
Yes. We want to give you exactly what your body needs at that moment in time, because with all due respect to everybody else in the field, they are very educated. They're very good at what they do. But even an educated guess at the end of the day is still a guess. And I would so much rather test to know exactly down to the amount of capsules you need to take of each product to be for your best and highest good. I'd rather test than guess. And so that is very much where I think differently. And yes, it does take more time. It does take more connection with people. It does take more effort. But if we are not willing to give people time, energy, effort, like what are we even doing? Like we're not doing what's for everybody's best and highest good in this practice. And so, yes, I absolutely believe in testing over guessing. And thank you very much for your kind words. I very much appreciate it and resonate with. Obviously, you've been through stuff too.
Any other thoughts, comments, anything from anyone? Go for it, Beverly.
Well, I've been absolutely blown away by this session. Oh my gosh, I just cannot believe it. I wish I met you when my mother was alive. Thinking things would have gone a different way, actually. It's just incredible. My story is I've had cardiovascular issues for about a year now, and I do believe you mentioned sleep, and I think that has been hugely impactful because I wasn't getting enough. Mainly being a caregiver for over 10 years or so, and in my teaching career, I didn't really go to sleep. I just worked. So it's been very difficult to get back to that balance of sleep. I do it for a little while, and then it goes well for 2 or 3 months, and then I'm shifting again. But I'm really glad you mentioned that today, because I have already set myself a plan to get back to it. At the hospital last year, they told me that I must get more sleep because it was really beginning to affect my heart. They actually discovered that I had a valve problem, but then I was getting palpitation, other things, which could have been related also to low sugar difficulties. So I will definitely get in touch with you for a call. Yeah, because I if it wasn't for the way I looked after myself, I don't think I would have actually progressed so well in my health journey, because I took responsibility for it, because the doctors were just wanting to give out pills, and I'm at the point where I want to give up the blood pressure pills and the beta blocker that's slowing down my heart. I'm looking for alternative methods, and I always like to go use holistic methods. So thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome, Beverly. And sometimes we do get to a place where we need medication. Medication is not a bad thing. It can save people's lives. But when we're talking about potentially being on a medication for the rest of our life, my question is, okay, but why is blood pressure getting high? Why is blood sugar getting dysregulated? Let's go to the root cause of why. Let's build health in areas so maybe we can fix that issue so we don't need the medication. We don't need the intervention. We don't need to be taking handfuls of supplements the rest of our life, because we took the right ones at the right time in the right collaboration with other supplements and products to actually achieve true healing. And so we don't need all that extra thing, the extra interventions. So they are very helpful. I'm very glad we have access to modern medicine for times such as this, when sometimes you just need something while we're building health on the other end. So I'm looking forward to our call.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Amazing. And yes, Sarah, you and I get along so well because we have that same philosophy, right? Like let's go after that root problem. Yes, let's use modern medicine if we need as a crutch. And then let's go after that root problem and keep healing and have a healthy body. So this is truly amazing. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm hopeful I have some ideas that you and I should chat about for this summit next year. It'd be fun, but we'll some of these awesome people will be joining us for that as it is, so then we get to hang out. But in any case, please give it up for Sierra. Give her a round of applause. This was amazing. Yay. Thank you so much, Sierra. If text that number if you want to work with her, hop on a call and or learn more, right? And learn more and see, right? She's not just out to take your money with it. So just go check it out and maybe she can help you on your journey. It's 701-969-0079. It should work all around the world. I know we have energizers all around the world that should work. Otherwise, she's in the Energy Hub. Connect with her there. Send her a message. Right. That's what I love about our Energizer experts, is that they're part of this community too. So you could just reach out to them and connect. Sierra, be looking out for a message from me, because yeah, Katie and I totally need to do this. So with that, thank you, Sierra. Thank you, everyone, for being here, shining your love, your light with all of us. Have an amazing day. Go be healthy. Go eat some natural foods, right? Less processed, not processed at all, even better yet, and just enjoy them. So thank you, Sarah. Have an amazing day, everyone. All right, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank